everyone, and welcome to the LTH product briefing. I'm joined today from NetDocuments by Michael Hill, the Director of Product Marketing, and Kyle Kissel, the Lead Solutions Expert, aka apparently Legal Tech Nerd, which I feel like many of us share that title. Hello, Kyle. Hi, Michael.
In good company.
Yeah, exactly. And we are here today to talk about PatternBuilder MAX, which is beyond and different from the NetDocuments core product around DMS. So Michael, I'm going to ask you first to give us a little bit of background on PatternBuilder MAX. It is the result of an acquisition and then some developments. How did it come to be, and effectively, what is it?
So I think that where we are now is a natural extension of our kind of core strategy and how we serve our customers, but it was certainly accelerated and enabled by the acquisition of AfterPattern, which was an advanced no-code document and workflow automation platform, which we then built entirely into our platform. We have a one platform strategy. I think we've called it one puppy to love, right? It is one thing for customers to deploy, one thing for them to learn. It has significant advantages in terms of security and just efficiency of developing and innovating new product. We launched that. It was our most successful. And then towards the end of 2021, the promise of generative AI became apparent that it was starting to come true. And we realized that the ability to pair a best-in-class document management system with advanced logic-based traditional document and workflow automation and the capabilities of generative AI just opened up so many more use cases and problems that our customers face to solve. So we set about very rapidly integrating generative AI capabilities into the PatternBuilder framework, working very closely with customers around the world and from legal departments and government entities and obviously law firms to ensure that we were thinking about it the right way, and then began to actually roll it out to customers in the middle of last year and then released commercially in October. And now, by the way, PatternBuilder MAX is our most successful release to date by about a factor of 10x.
Fantastic. Thank you, Michael. And Kyle, I think before we jump into a demo, because I am super excited to see this one, you have a little bit of background as well on the product.
I do. And I think that Michael did a really good job of touching on the way that we thought about this, because you had to be responsible, right? Especially with generative AI and the sensitive data that, our clients entrust us with. We had to build our solution in a way that allowed people to leverage their knowledge, but also, not at the expense of the control and governance that they've set up. So, lawyers don't want much. They just want AI to know everything that they know and do everything that they can do. So this is what we have found. They don't want just general purpose tools. They want to encode their knowledge, their experience, their voice into AI. And we found that that's inside of their documents, right? So by tapping in generative AI with a no-code tool into the DMS, it was only logical, and we could help ensure that we're able to do so responsibly, right? Being able to pull in those non-public, client-specific nuances into the generation process. And so as we mentioned, right now we've partnered with Microsoft to ensure that we can meet enterprise-grade security, to ensure that we are allowing users the ability to leverage AI without the fear of their knowledge being used to train away their competitive advantage, right? And feed specific client information to a large language model. And then due to the partnership that NetDocuments has with Microsoft, we have some noteworthy exemptions, such as a 0-day retention and a zero read agreement with Microsoft, where they're not scanning any of the content that we put in for abuse, and no Microsoft employee or Microsoft algorithm has access to the content that you send over.
Yeah, we might want to dig a little bit deeper into that, because it may be unfamiliar to some of the audience who maybe is in earlier stages or hasn't looked very closely at Microsoft OpenAI. So for very, very good reasons, Microsoft has in place some policies that make perfect sense if you're talking about the use of generative AI in, say, a marketing department or in various other kind of enterprises. But when you look at legal professionals, the retention of potentially sensitive client information, it can't happen. And certainly any kind of machine or human oversight of the content itself. Lawyers sometimes deal with matters that involve terms that might trigger that algorithm or might trigger human oversight. So in working with Microsoft and literally sitting down with them and helping them understand the unique specific needs of the legal professional audience, that's really really where those exemptions came from, because we're both committed to providing the exciting opportunities around generative AI, but also in a way that enables legal professionals to maintain their responsibility to secure their data.
Yeah, that's a great point. And thanks for adding that color, Michael. What we saw, Nikki, in the market was two choices. One, a chatbot, right? Where users, the onus of becoming a prompt engineer is on them. And it does quite a bit, right? You can ask it to generate information. The problem is that chatbots, the onus of becoming the perfect prompt engineer falls on your user. It's hard in a chat window to take 10 documents worth of knowledge and distill it into a prompt. Also, your real world use cases aren't just draft this template contract. It's the but what else that we were talking about, right? And then this also allows for no control over how the prompt is written, what matters it's available in, or what content is used. So as clients are writing outside counsel guidelines saying you can't use our content against AI, this kind of misses that boat around the control side. A lot of vendors realize that as well. And so they decided to make like their own products, right? That users had a set defined of input. They could pick their documents. You put it into the box, magic happens, and you get the perfect output. What's really happening is just a prompt and a large language model. So as we look, we had a tool that could allow you to automate chunks of text, and that's what PatternBuilder was. And we saw that we could take our PatternBuilder solution, the knowledge that's encoded in the documents in NetDocuments, and pair that with a large language model to remove the obfuscation, right, from the black box models, while still allowing your organization to place the control and rigidity around it. So it's the best of both worlds. We've been calling it the Goldilocks solution, right? It's the one that's just right, where you get to marry the best of control and flexibility. So that is the kind of basic introduction, right? Let's take a look at a couple problems and a couple use cases that we solve. The first of which is one of our studio apps. And Nikki, we talked about this at the beginning of at our previous conversation. As we look at Microsoft Word, we can see I have a non-disclosure agreement that we need to review. We don't have the time on this call to review this entire NDA. Fortunately, with the power of generative AI, we can do this quickly and easily wherever we're working. So we can select our document. We can run this against a playbook. We have our KM team that has defined a set of policies around non-disclosure agreements. We've worked closely with our client, and we can say Acme Co. is our client, and we want to QA this third-party paper from XYZ Inc. against our set of standard policies. One, we've loaded all of those standard policies where we can vet, validate, review them, edit them if we need to. Maybe our governing law is Delaware or Utah, so we can make some concessions as we're doing the analysis. And then we hit continue, and we're sending this document securely through the Microsoft services that we'd mentioned previously, with all of the security that's inherent to NetDocuments and those Microsoft services. And we've asked it a couple questions. This prompt is crafted in a way that says, one, tell me if a change is needed based upon those 8 criteria. We're looking at our primary, our secondary, and then some guidelines. 2, if a change is needed, give me a semantic red line, right? Tell me the conceptual differences between the text provided and if a change is required, tell us how we can rewrite this to be more favorable and more in line with our policies. So this is all information that is encoded in your document, that's encoded in your database, in your corpus of knowledge. But that's a really time-consuming process for somebody to go through without the power of generative AI.
Sorry to interrupt, but one of the things I guess that's different here between some of the other solutions is this is all covered by the same security mechanisms that NetDocuments has in place for your documents. So from a data privacy and security perspective, you can be sure that this is safe to use.
And we're able to do this without a separate migration of content from your document management system into a third vendor. So this is all retaining that information securely inside of the NetDocuments ecosystem, inside of our one platform.
That's great.
So PatternBuilder sits right inside of your NetDocuments matter file. So you can trigger generative AI workflows alongside of your documents. So we're reviewing some documents, we have a question, we need to create a funding packet, etc. We can do so right from here. The contract playbook that we showed you was a studio app, right? That's out of the box. But let's look at a custom app. where maybe we have some information inside of documents that reside in NetDocuments, and we want to use that information to populate other documents that we have. Well, we can take our fact sheet that we have, we can take several documents if we want to, and we can say, hey, we're representing quantum innovations, and we want to generate those 4 of the 5 menu documents that we have. We extract the data from the source document. We can store that information inside of our relational database the Pattern Builder includes. We can even display the information. Is what I've found. Everybody wants to use AI, but everybody wants to check and make sure that AI is doing it right before they put that into client-facing documents. So the great thing about this is I built it in, and we have some QA. So we can say, looks like we missed the state of California, right? So I can hard code in CA, or I could type in California if I wanted to.
I love the prompt actually asking people to validate. That's great.
Exactly. We can see as we scroll down, right? All of the information is here. And this isn't the tool doing this. This was me saying, this is how I want the tool to behave. It validates this information. Then as I hit continue, it writes that information into the database. It can display shareholders, stockholders, investors for me to review as well, and generate that information into a packet of documents. We can also save those documents right back into the matter file inside of NetDocuments. So simple, easy, and intuitive. And we have this file that we've generated, or several files that we've generated, right from here. The final thing that I want to show you is we can also summarize large volumes of text. So as we're looking here, here's another Pattern Builder app that I've run. A question that I got the other day was, it's really hard for new attorneys who are joining a matter to get up to speed. There are hundreds of documents. They just need a succinct timeline of what's happened in a matter across multiple files. So from here, we can do this, right? I can say I'm looking for my set of data. I want to perform a search. I want to select the group of documents in that folder or the group of documents in that matter. We can select up to 100 files. We can choose to save the case digest back to the matter file, so we don't have to run this over and over and over again, right? And take the expense of running AI to answer a question that Michael had already answered himself. And now we're taking multiple documents, summarizing them asynchronously, and then ordering them into a succinct timeline that's easy for somebody to review, to QA, and to get up to speed on large, complex matters in a way that was impossible before. We process and generate a case digest across our multiple documents. Inside of this document, we've actually got a disclaimer, right? That's telling you, hey, this was generated using AI. And that's a disclaimer that my firm chose to add in. And here's the file that then was saved back to our matter that has that summarization of all of our documents that we had selected, so that it's easy for an individual to get a timeline of all of the actions, all of the, key and noteworthy events across the several documents or across the entire matter.
Okay. So you would see a series of summaries in chronological order.
And you could set it up to be in chronological order, in reverse chronological order, in the order that they were in the documents, right? Maybe so in original order, and you would absolutely have that capability and that configurability.
Well, thank you so much, both of you, for showing this to us. I think it is really impressive and solves some of the problems that firms face around confidentiality and security and just ease of access. And it really elegantly brings together that low-code functionality with your own documents and the power of large language models. Thanks everyone for watching. And we will put a URL at the bottom of the screen to allow people to access and contact NetDocuments to ask more about Pattern Builder MAX.